Hello, and welcome to another installment of Old Men Yell at Cloud. I am Jim Schultz, and as always, I am joined with Mr.
Patrick S. Barry.
Christopher Brown.
I loved a little bit of lag in between there.
I was expecting you to say a name and then for us to just kind of respond in the affirmative.
Yes, and today we're going to be talking about 2013's Holy Fire by Foals. I think this is the first time we've gone post-2000 in this show.
Congratulations. We've made the big time.
And I brought in a guest this evening, my good friend Tyler.
Hello. I thought my podcasting career was over, and then you brought me out of the woods.
Oh,
you like that? How do you like that?
Yeah, that's I get it.
So I thought Tyler was an appropriate guest as he introduced me to Foals. So
with this album.
Yeah, with this album. And we have a little bit of a surprise for you guys. As we are recording this, it is actually the 5-year anniversary to the day.
Of the release?
Of the release of this album.
Wow. Nice.
Didn't know that. Just a really cool coincidence.
Really weird coincidence. I was really happy to see that this album came out in 2013 because it bolsters my belief that no fucking good music came out in 2012.
That's so true.
2012 is the year music died for a while.
2000,
at least took a nap.
It was like 08 through 2012. There was a definite dip.
Well, that 2012 pissed me off in particular because that's the year everyone was raving about everything because there was nothing.
Because the world was ending.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Frank Ocean, this album's great, huh? And it's like, there's a single on it, and the rest of it's just fucking garbage. And you're talking about this as if it's supposed to be some great thing, like.
Oh, that's when
it wasn't a bright future.
I think that was the year of the Gautier too.
I think you're right.
Yep,
2012.
Yeah. That conversely, I'll say a couple of the album tracks on that were better than that. Yeah. That single.
I dug the album. I liked a few tracks on the album. They're like kind of Peter Gabriel-y, but.
Yeah, I had a kind of weird side story that's not related to this album, but related to Gautier. I'm like 3 degrees away from him or something, some weird connection like that, because he's good friends with Spencer Krug from Sunset Rubdown and Wolf Parade and those bands. And Spencer Krug used to date a friend of mine. So, yeah, I've got this weird close connection to Gautier.
Yes.
And every time I say his name, I think of Goatsy.
I was going to say,
like,
do not confuse it with don't look up the wrong name later.
Yeah, so for those playing at home, don't look that up at work.
Nope.
Or do, I don't care. I don't give a shit what you do in your personal time. A little background about the album. Holy Fire is the 3rd studio album by British rock band Foals, released on the 11th of February 2013, exactly 5 years to this day, in the United Kingdom on Transgressive Records. By Allen and Mulder. The first single, Inhaler, first aired on the 5th of November 2012 on the Zane Lowe's BBC Radio 1 show, with the music video being released later that same day. The second single, My Number, debuted on Later with Jules Holland on the 13th of November 2012. The track had its radio debut 1 month later, also on Zane Lowe's BBC Radio 1 show. The music video premiered on the 23rd of January 2013. And for those who don't know, Flood and Mulder... 9 Inch Nails,
Depeche Mode, the album that we did on this.
Yeah.
U2, a bunch of U2, right?
Yep.
My Bloody Valentine, I believe.
In The Cure is apparently how he got his nickname as well, yeah.
Yeah, and they have a studio where this album was recorded entitled Assault and Battery Studios in Northwest London.
Yeah, but about that production, that was definitely something I noticed. I was listening to it, I was like, "Wow, this is fantastic."
Yeah,
and then I was shocked to find that big names. Okay, that would explain it.
As far as like favorite production on albums, this is definitely top 5 for me. Anima being up there as well.
Yeah, Flood and Allen Mulder generally will do good stuff, provided that the material is good.
Yeah, and the vinyl mix is really nice too. Like you were saying, you were like noticing some of the string stuff for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ! I mean, I have listened to this album so many fucking times, and I've heard things tonight that I'd never heard before.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like they took time to make it like a nice mix. It wasn't just like thrown together.
Right. Tyler, how did you end up getting into Foals anyway?
So you guys said that like 08 to 2012 kind of sucked. I listened to a lot of Foals from 08 to 2012 because I was kind of going through a math rock kick, like Block Party, obviously.
Oh, sure.
And when Foals first came on the scene, for me, they had a heavy math rock influence, Block Party influence, and I was like, damn, all right, they did everything to the T, and I got really into them for a little bit. Their first album's still kind of fun for me. It's a good throwback. But their second album, Total Life Forever, Spanish Sahara, is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's a great song.
It's so...
I have a good story about that song, too.
It's so good. If you ever want to get a chance to listen to a really good one-track, Spanish Sahara by Foals is just mind-blowingly good. So I just kind of like took my math rock stage and just kind of like continued to listen to Foals, and then when they released this, I was like, I have to share this with everybody I've ever met in my life because this is still, in my opinion, still the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, What Went Down was pretty fucking good.
It was very good, but this was just like, this is...
Well, it's funny because when you first showed me this album, we were kind of doing like a music exchange dealy, and I was like looking for something new, and I just couldn't find it. And as soon as Prelude started, I was like, "This is it. This is what I've been fucking looking for." Yeah, and it's interesting you were talking about the first album, The Antidotes, because his voice style is so much different on that album than any of the others. Like, I think at one point I was like, "Oh, they had a different singer at one point," and you're like, "Nah, it's
it's the same dude."
Just different style. All right, I guess we'll go around the horn and do that thing that we fucking do.
Might as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do favorite song, and let's start with Mr. Patrick.
All right. So I think it's kind of funny that like you two guys are obviously very familiar with this record. I went into this virtually blind, not even really even knowing much about the band. Excuse me, I've been getting over a cold this week, so if it sounds like I'm like coughing up a frog that's been smoking menthols all week, that's why.
It tastes like I stuck a straw in a frog's asshole.
Like Harvey Firestein over here.
I gotta call my mother.
So anyway, that was an introduction that didn't need to happen so much. Inhaler was my favorite track on the record. For a couple of reasons. This was a style that I saw kind of revisited on what's it called? Provenance as well, where it's like a little more unhinged and like kind of more rock and less like kind of melodic indie. That like I kind of wish was explored on like some of the other tracks a little more. And I really there's some like really cool parts that I liked. It kind of reminded me of Filter.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I had a note that it's got this great like kind of like pumping 4 on the floor beat going.
Yeah,
throughout the verses.
Yeah, just sort of. It's very. There's a part in the bridge. I don't know if this was just on the vinyl mix or not. But like the synths start like kind of pushing the threshold, and like it really is just like a very overwhelming effect. And they have that ability, and you hear it on Prelude too. That like beginning instrumental, they really can like they have a lot of power when they put their little Foals engines
when
behind
they eat
it.
their Wheaties,
their horsepower, their Foals power, because Foals are baby horses, right?
Right.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh dear, I get it. We're doing ungulates again. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Inhaler. It's a good tune.
That's all I have to say about that.
When I watched that music video, there are boobs in that music video.
There are boobs. There are boobs in a lot of their music videos.
How are they getting away with this?
They're UK based, bro.
England.
They can show that on TV. BBC4.
Isn't that like a thing in English newspapers? They have like the page fill in the
Yeah.
blank girl.
Yeah, they do,
It's like
yeah.
they just have like a topless girl in like the newspaper.
Good
'cause
news.
What?
I remember because you sent me this album and I was listening to it at work and I was like, oh, let me see if they got any music videos.
Bad idea.
So I go and I pull up Inhaler at work and I'm like, oh, tits. I should probably shut this off.
I think Chris is looking up boobs real quick.
I think my number doesn't have boobs, but I'm pretty sure like 70% of their other music videos do have
Just
boobs.
boobs everywhere.
Page 3 girl.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just like the fucking sun just has pictures of jugs.
Yeah.
On like page 3.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
They take their journalism very seriously across the pond.
All right, Christopher.
My favorite was My Number.
You don't have my number, but we don't need each other now. We don't need the city, the creed or the culture now. It's our field.
It was one of many songs on this where I heard a distinct mid-'80s Cure singles influence. The whole Japanese Whispers EP that the Cure did. Kind of has like a little bit of an Asian vibe to it. Very percussive keyboards. And I don't know, just a great arrangement. Things were kind of being added and dropped. Wasn't just adding more to the pile. It was subtracting a lot, which I really liked. And the melodies were just awesome. It was the third song on the album in a row where I also had an involuntary like head nod and drum along to it.
Nice. Yeah, I noticed you're kind of moving around a little bit.
Yeah, it was that and the squirrel in my pants.
Oh, yeah. You have one of those too, right?
I don't know how he got there. I just hope he gets out.
Yeah.
That little devil. Fucking
I
Bob Ross.
I really liked the. I really like the vocal layering in that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And I wrote tinkery and shimmery guitar.
And how can you not dance to that song?
It's true.
Yeah.
I put that whenever there's like dancing happen, I throw that one on. It gets everybody going, gets everybody jumping up and down.
When they play that song live, it's fucking bananas. The bass groove.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love bananas.
I just want to backtrack for 1 second to when you just said when people are dancing, I like to throw that on. Because the way you said that suggested that, I don't know, you're somewhere where you shouldn't be, where people are dancing, and that you somehow...
So I kind of sneak into the club and I knock the DJ out, throw on my number, and everybody fucking loves it.
and then I
like-
leave.
I like
Then
to
I
think of
leave.
it as more of a polite exchange. Like you just go up and like tap him on the shoulder, and he recognizes you, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's time.
It's time.
It's Foals time." Okay, sorry guys. I know this is whatever Manchester House night or whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, we're getting Schultzed.
We're getting shows.
Tyler, what's your favorite track?
depending on the day, it's different with this album for me. But so today it's probably Late Night.
Oh, I hope that you were somebody, someone I could count to pull me to my feet again when I was in doubt. Oh, now, Mama, do you hear me calling out your name? Oh, now, Mama, do you hear me calling out your name?
I just cannot get enough of the guitar. The last full minute of just absolute magic that Yannis creates.
Little crunchy guitar solo
that
kind of going
vamp
on.
at the end is so baller.
Yes.
Just everyone's like playing really well, but not overplaying, and it's really enjoyable to listen to.
That's another one of those tracks where you can really hear the Robert Smith influence
Absolutely.
on his vocals too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounds.
And it's really impactful because it feels like everybody's doing their own thing, but they're not. Like they're definitely cohesive, but
Yes.
they're all doing their own little trigger happy moment. You know,
They're working together but doing different things.
right?
And counterpoints are sort of.
Yeah, and that groove in the beginning is so fucking choice. The piano bass, drums,
Yeah.
and strings bit. That's pretty fucking.
The drum parts are like
I just want to kiss the anus like a chef.
And
yeah, the drum parts are just phenomenal on like every single track. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
He's a good drummer.
and then there's the very special line in my life. It may not be for everybody else here, but the line is, "I'm the last cowboy in this town, and I live my life by that." We should all live our lives by that.
Being the last cowboy in this town.
In this town.
In Attleboro,
In
specifically.
Attleboro.
I think there is a cowboy in Attleboro, and it isn't me. So.
Dude, so
He got arrested down at the Walgreens.
I was at the liquor store last week in Wakefield, and I saw the last cowboy in Wakefield. It was a dude in a pickup truck. He pops up out of his truck, and he's wearing like one of those shiny kind of like pleather sort of jackets that like you get at like a NASCAR thing.
Sure.
It has like numbers all over it and shit. And he's got his like baseball hat on, and he looks like I mean, granted, it was like a Saturday, so you don't have to shower on Saturdays, but like he looked like he probably chose not to. And like he walks in and like goes and like gets his case of Bud Light or whatever. And I was behind him, so I see him leaving, and like I'm like looking at him in my rear view, like as he's leaving, so I can safely leave without smashing into his car. And it's just covered in bumper stickers, just like "Yes, I am a redneck," like different NASCAR things. And there surprisingly wasn't anything like inflammatory on it, because I was expecting to see something like "Libtards can eat shit" or something like that. But I believe that man is currently holding the mantle of last cowboy.
yeah,
in,
so by
town.
that, do you mean like a cowboy? There's a lot of posers.
I was gonna say that's too literal for me. Like I look at cowboy as the last rebel in this town.
Yeah, like we're
Okay,
talking about the
okay.
cowboy ethos,
Yeah.
like that's been carried since
So it's-
when they moved to
essentially-
California in the 1870s or what have you.
It's essentially first wave punk.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure.
Exactly. That's more or less.
I think
where
they were
go
more
with it.
libertarian though.
The whole time you were telling that story, I was just really hoping that cowboy sounded like Sam Elliott.
Oh my god! If that happened, I probably would have just dropped whatever I was buying and just left happy. This man has cured my need to
How's
drink.
it going, dude?
Ooh, yeah.
What's your favorite, Haas?
My favorite. I want to talk more about cowboys.
I want to talk more about Sam Elliott, like late '80s Sam Elliott.
No, I had a story I wanted to bring up. So my friend Eric used to work at a feed store, so he'd get all kinds of cowboys coming in and out of there. And he said one day this cowboy showed up in a pickup truck with a pig. And, he bought his feed or whatever, and he left. And he comes back in a minute later, and he's like, "Hey, you got any paper towels? Pig just shit in my truck."
My dad once ate at a restaurant called Mark's Feed Bag in Louisville. Jesus. And I was talking to my dad one night about it, and he and I had been drinking. And my dad was telling me about this place. He's just like, "Yeah, I went to Mark's Feed Bag, and by the time I got back to the hotel, I just exploded." So apparently, if you're in Louisville, just be near a toilet.
Yeah. So related story. I went to a Red Robin once. All right. No,
All right, my favorite track, Providence.
I know I cannot be true. I'm an animal just like you. Oh, I'll bleed just a little bit too. Oh, I'll bleed just like you. I know I cannot be true. I'll bleed just a little bit too. Oh, I'm just like you. I'm just an animal just like you. I know I cannot be true. I'm an animal just like you. Oh, I bleed just a little bit too. I bleed just like you. I know I cannot be true. I bleed just like you.
I've always loved this song. The bass, everything about it's just thick and juicy and chunky, and it's just got this crunchy ass guitar. And the saw synth in this song is just unsettling,
Yes.
and it makes me happy.
It makes me think of Inception, back to our talk about
Yeah.
Zimmer earlier. the
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. This was kind
Yeah.
of like of the same cloth as Inhaler.
Yeah, what was interesting for me is that it was a blues riff, and like by the time we got to this song, it's like Jesus Christ, this sounds fucking weird from these dudes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like, I liked it.
Yeah, and then there's this. Well, I'll save that for my other moment. I have so much to say about this song. Patrick, least favorite song.
All right, shit's about to get real up in here.
Uh-oh.
My Number.
You don't have my number. We don't need each other now. We don't need the city, the creed or the culture now. It's our
Yeah. I think it was just a little bit too temper trap for me. A little bit too like modern 2000s indie, like dance hop.
So it's
my
very
taste.
funny that you bring up the name
Like
the
Christopher
Temper Trap.
gently tapping his finger on the table.
So
He's
it's
temper
funny.
tapping.
like he's about to put he's about to put Patrick in timeout.
No. This is very interesting because I don't think anyone in North America has thought about the Temper Trap since, I don't know, when did 500 Days of Summer come out?
Hey, they're still on one of my playlists.
But the thing is,
I don't wanna
their
talk about
star,
that movie either.
Their star has kind of like fallen a bit. Like they're not really in the cultural lexicon so much.
Sure.
One of my notes for Bad Habit was, this is what the Temper Trap wish they could be if they could write more good songs.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's more to it than fucking temper trap. They are good writers. But yeah, I think it was just a little bit too much in that direction for my taste. It kind of took me out of it. And like his vocal delivery was a little too much for me or something. It just kind of took me out of it for like a couple songs, actually.
I see.
Yeah.
Christopher.
Patrick, what was your favorite song?
Inhaler, right?
No, I'm going to say my least favorite was probably Stepson.
step by aching steps on, and you fall into the blue, and you fall into the blue. Oh, I'm coming down for you. Step by aching steps on, and I'll lead you.
It was interesting to me because I liked it. I didn't dislike anything on this album, and I really appreciated the fact that there was no bombast on it because I was just waiting, sitting there, saying like, "Oh God, there's gonna be a fucking kick drum and bass coming in soon, and it's gonna like fucking kill this mood." But they restrained from it, which I liked. But I don't know. There just at the same time wasn't really anything that grabbed me. There wasn't anything that made me. It was definitely like Jim, you were telling a story about driving up in the woods with a full moon, listening to this, and I could see this being like a good soundtrack song like that. But it wasn't something I'd say like be sitting there thinking, you know what would go down real smooth, listening to Stepson. Like I don't think I would ever think that.
Okay.
I'm glad you prefaced that with listening to, rather than just saying steps. Oh, mercy.
Tyler?
Yeah, this one's
I know this is going to be hard for
this
you.
is tough for me because this is like this is hands down my favorite album in the last 5 years. So, Stepson's usually a tough one for me too, but I like it's so perfect once in a while. I think that the one tough one that I am more likely to if I had to skip one track, it would probably be Every Time. You know what I mean? It's a pretty short track too. It just it's a good setup for the following 2 tracks, which again, late night's right after it. So I guess like gearing up for late night, it's fine, but it doesn't offer anything different that we haven't heard prior to.
There is a cowbell, I think.
That's like
It's not enough.
sometimes cowbell is not enough. Okay,
All right, fair enough.
but yeah, it's just it never really does it for me.
Okay. I actually had the same thing. Same boat as you. There is no song I don't like on this album. I think this album kicks ass. And as far as things that have happened post 2000, this is pretty fucking good.
Yes.
But every time's probably the same deal. If I had to skip one, it would be that. It's a kind of a straightforward rock song. There's really nothing too exciting happening in it. And, he's saying, come sail away, pretty much. And I just started thinking about Styx.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. Still a great song. If it comes on, I'm not going to skip it.
Right.
But if I had to pick one, that's what it would be.
If you were holding like all of these songs on a cliff and you
Yeah.
had to let
You had
one,
to let one
let go so that the rest may live, like that's the one.
That's the one that's going.
That's
I mean,
one-
Styx does make it sort of an easier decision. Let's be real. That song is. I heard it somewhere the other day. I think it was like at a gas station or something.
Was it on like a Royal Caribbean commercial?
Yeah, like remember when like everybody was fucking playing it ironically for a while and like
Yeah. Danielle unironically got. Well, I don't want to say unironically. She's aware of what she did, but she bought a copy of Styx's "Caught in the Act" on vinyl when we were at Bull Moose last. And
Which one is that one?
It's their mostly live one. It's got like a couple studio songs like at the beginning, and then it's like this like live album. And yeah, oh my god,
I really want to go to Bull Moose. I've never been.
Bull Moose is pretty fantastic, and they should sponsor us.
Dennis DeYoung is not fantastic. He can eat shit.
Oh my god, did you ever see the behind the music on Styx?
Oh yeah.
Where like he seems like he's a complete space cadet, but his wife seems like she's like further down the road than he is, and she's just like the rest of Styx just could not handle Dennis's vision, and like there is just like nothing happening behind her eyes. Like it's like she might as well be like in Heaven's Gate or something.
I thought it was epilepsy was the reason why he had to drop out of doing Styx.
I thought he was kicked out, but I don't know. Whatever. Why are we fucking talking about
Was he a
Styx
renegade? If we just say this episode's brought to you by Bull Moose, if we just keep doing that, do you think maybe they'll just be like, all right, fine.
Yeah, let's just tag them every time we
Hashtag
put out an
Bull Moose.
episode. We'll tag them to say thanks to our sponsors at Bull Moose. No, our friends.
Our friends.
Our friends at Bull Moose. Just enter coupon code OLDMEN at checkout and you will receive no discount.
I think, all right, so I'm drinking a polar seltzer. I think we should start a feud with fucking LaCroix.
There you go.
Right now, hashtag polar.
Hashtag polar.
Based out of
I was laughing
Worcester,
at
Mass.
So I was listening to Christopher's other podcast, Nickelback, and the whole what the fuck is his name? Sean Spicer thing with the Dippin' Dots. Oh my god.
That was pretty incredible. Yeah, the weird, like, years-long war that Sean Spicer had with Dippin' Dots on Twitter.
What a time to be alive.
Just him being like, these are definitely not the ice cream of the future.
Yeah, but the thing is, there were like probably 4 tweets, but they were all long time. Like there was a long period between each one. But
What
like,
a-
he just never got over his frustration.
What a fucking hill to die on. Dippin' Dot.
I'm gonna take those sons of bitches down.
This is the ramblings of an insane person.
Or White House press secretary, whatever the fuck he was, before getting fired.
Well,
An insane person.
Listen, this is gonna ostracize me a little bit, but he's also from Barrington, Rhode Island. And
Is he really?
Yes.
I didn't
And
know that.
people from Barrington, Rhode Island, they're not great people.
Patrick, MVP moment.
MVP moment. All right, I had an MVP moment. Let's find it on my phone. Yeah, ending MVP moment of Providence. Yeah,
that's great.
it is pretty fucking baller. I mean, just listen to it. It's great. They know how to fucking hit hard, and that's like a moment I definitely latched on to. I don't really have much more to say.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Christopher.
I am going to go with the crescendo at the end of Milk and Black Spiders. Just that fucking build, and then when the beat finally drops at the end, it's very, very satisfying. I don't know. That's
There's fucking steel drum in that song.
yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, there's some great percussion.
And that song actually has one of the few good uses outside of hip hop I've ever heard of a kick drum with a side-chained oscillator to it.
Yeah.
It actually adds something to the song, and it's not mud.
What was it doing? Just like
It just adds like that underneath the kick drum.
Yeah.
oh, cool.
It's like that super low, like if you're in a parking garage, it'll set off car alarms sort of low end.
And
is
like
what it does.
you have like a shitty car, it makes it rattle and
Yep.
it's really obnoxious when I'm
Just go
next to you
drive
in
up and
traffic.
down Federal Hill in Providence. You'll hear it.
Yep.
There you go.
Tyler?
For the record, I don't hate anybody from Barrington. It was just a joke. Same thing. Same thing. Milk and Black Spider is the just the guitar jamming in the middle with the strings is just so perfect. Definitely an MVP.
The strings on that song are fucking great.
They're so like, and you said that you didn't even know they existed.
I was like, Jesus Christ, this is the first time I've noticed like the string section on this song.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing I get to say. Like before we started listening, I was reading the credits and saw that they had a symphony orchestra play on about 5 of the songs. It's mixed really fucking low,
Yeah. It
which
is.
is crazy. Normally, when bands pay for that, it's like up at front and center, like fucking Drops of Jupiter style, like just in your face.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's where it's like louder than the band. But here they were using it as a texture, which I thought was fucking interesting. They've got like 40 awesome musicians, and they're kind of in the background.
Yeah.
Speaking, cool.
Speaking of
Especially with
Train, so
Oh, fuck off. What do you have to say about Train?
no, this is gonna be good. My day job, I'm a network engineer, so I got flown out to Cisco Live, which is this huge like networking conference for people who do networking out in Vegas, and they shipped us out on the last night to this resort, like kind of off the strip, off the Las Vegas Strip, and they basically rented out the whole resort for just the people attending Cisco. Now, this is a very male-dominated field, and Train played a private concert for all of us Cisco folks.
Did you attend?
I did.
Did they play Drops of Jupiter?
I think so.
Did they play?
Meet Virginia?
as long as they played Meet Virginia, I don't give a shit about
But-
anything else.
He goes, the singer from Train goes, I want to get all the fucking women up here on the stage. 5. There were 5 of them.
So they must have known that there were only 5 of them.
I think
because,
so.
Like,
Yeah, he
you
probably
can only
saw
fit
it
so
It
in
was
many.
a sausage fest. as the kids say these days.
He's incredible too because he reminds me so much of a young Terry Gilliam,
Yes.
or I guess younger because he's getting up there now. The
Yeah.
dude from Train.
But they're still. It was interesting because I did a little bit of research on Train one time. But they're like actually one of the younger from the '90s bands. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he's still mid to late 40s.
Yeah,
which
'cause
is pretty interesting.
They surfaced like what 98 or
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my MVP moment. Got to go with Patrick on this. The ending to Providence.
Yeah, it's just so good.
I wrote and I underlined it. Fucking slam, slam, slam. Oh my God! When it's building up and you've got that kind of synth thing going underneath, and then he starts doing the drum roll and everything just kind of goes in its own direction and it stops and it comes together and it just goes bum, 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 bam, 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 and it just slams the fuck back in. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah, those little like triplet,
Yeah.
Interjections in between, bop, 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 and then
Yeah.
like into the
Slamming right back in.
slamming right into the slam and jam.
It's unsettling and beautiful and punchy and
And they've put that both times you saw him too.
yeah.
So you had like
I was so happy.
That's a part where they get ridiculous into their grooves
Yeah.
at the end of that song.
Yeah. Next time they come around, I definitely want to see him.
Yeah, it's a good time. I'm sure they'll be playing. Well, probably not this year.
Next year,
Assuming
probably.
next year they'll
Yeah.
tour again.
They'll gallop through town.
Oh, Patrick. Comparable album, Patrick.
Okay, this one is kind of a weird one, but I went with King of Limbs by
Okay.
the old Radiohead group.
The old radio. He is getting pretty old.
Radiohead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know Tom Radiohead York. He is the Radiohead.
He is the Radiohead.
I actually, an old friend of mine was telling me when he was growing up, he thought Tom York was deaf, and his name was Radiohead because he wore the in-ear monitors, and he was watching a video of them playing the national anthem, and everybody's just fucking doing whatever, and they're like, "Oh, that's nice that they let this like deaf retarded guy like be the front man of this band."
Jesus.
That's awful.
Wow. Oh boy.
So, yeah, you
Holy
want to explain
mackerel.
that?
So King of Limbs, yeah. So this is Foals are obviously a post Radiohead sort of indie rock group, but obviously they're more than that. But they sort of the vocal delivery kind of reminds me a lot of Tom York, and I kind of picked this record because it's very percussion heavy, and this Foals record obviously is that fucking drummer and all the like aux percussion choices are all like really, they just like all lock together really well, and I like all like the ghost note shit that he does with like against the guitar delay. But yeah, that was really the one that came to mind for me.
I'm going to actually reuse one that I've already used because it actually fits in sonically here. And that's Some Cities by Dubs, which came out in 2005. And or maybe 2006, one of those. But that's another album where I think sonically it is very similar to this. If you wanted to find a band out there that was pretty similar to what Foals is doing, it's Dubs, even though they're not a band anymore. But that album, like I was thinking of it pretty consistently throughout this, and it's well worth a listen if you like this.
You can't reuse albums. That's a rule.
Hey,
Chris, you're fired.
I have an idea. How about you and you go fuck yourselves?
Wait, like ourselves, or why don't we just do it to each other?
What did I just say? I said it to yourselves.
We were talking about
I'm just trying to save time.
we were talking about Party Down earlier. There's an episode where J.K. Simmons is like this like movie producer, and he's doing like his like daughter's like he's like, you tell him I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna cut his head off and I'm gonna shit down his throat. And then there's another part he's like, I'm gonna cut up his whole family and then I'm gonna eat them and then I'm gonna shit them out.
Goodness, H gracious.
Oh yeah. Tyler.
This is a tough album to compare to something else because it's, again, one of my favorites. Because usually I compare other stuff to this. Well, so I think it was their fifth album, but Sigur Ros's fifth album is pretty comparable.
Med Suthi Iram.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one feels really strangely familiar when I listen to this one. And then there's this other band I really like called Daughter that came out like the year before this album.
Not to be confused with Daughters,
Not to
the
be confused
grindcore
with,
band.
Yes,
from
not to be
Providence.
confused with Daughters, the grindcore band from Providence. No,
Or the Pearl Jam song.
or the Pearl Jams.
Yeah, don't call them daughter.
Or the member of your family.
Daughter, If You Leave, that was their debut album and feels very similar to this too. And I like that one a lot as well. So those would be the two I'd probably compare it to. Very melodic, share similar tones to some of my favorite tracks on this album, again, such as Late Night or Out of the Woods. And they feel very, very similar.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. I can't really find something comparable to this. Like I said, when you showed me this, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. This is so different and cool. But the fuck are you laughing at?
It just made me think of that bit in The Simpsons when Barney has his first beer.
Where have you been all my life? Stick it to my veins.
Is there anything funnier than alcoholics?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's just laugh at everyone's misfortune.
Until they hurt
Our
somebody.
beautiful whiskey priests of the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 2007 Mirrored by Battles.
Ooh.
Because in the same vein, like this album was so different than anything else. And when I heard Mirrored, I was like, this is very fucking different. And interesting, they recorded Mirrored at Machines with Magnets in Pawtucket,
Wow.
right down the street.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Also interesting is I think that in the same album exchange group we were in, you exchanged that album.
I believe I did.
I'll take your word for it.
Actually,
actually
what's
not
this one?
familiar
Because
One-
I wouldn't have listened to Battles if it wasn't for him.
One of them was recorded with Machines and Magnets. Maybe this one wasn't, because this is.
That sounds familiar to me that they recorded it in Providence. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's my comparable album. Blah, blah. All right. We didn't. I don't think we did this the last two times. We're supposed to rate this damn thing.
Yeah. So let's
Yeah,
should we do the cars real quick.
Let's rate this dang thing.
Patrick.
I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10.
You want to elaborate a little bit?
You want to give us any why to that 6?
No, I think you can fill in that for yourself. No, it's a good album. It's like
He's a good boy, but
not a great boy. No, I mean I really think the instrumentalists are all great. I think they're great songwriters. It just wasn't 100% my cup of tea, like stylistically, but I can totally respect that it was a very well made record by some individuals who could play their instruments.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8. I liked it a lot. Something I will probably buy. And it wasn't my favorite record of all time, but it was very consistent, and I liked it a lot.
This gets a 9 from me. There's always like so I wanted you to play Bluebird because there's a little piece of me that says, man, I really wish they put Bluebird on this fucking album because it's my favorite fall song ever. And if they put it in place of Stepson, which again is not like my go-to, but if they swapped those two and decided to do Stepson as a like a solo, 7-inch vinyl, that would have been sweet, and replaced it with Bluebird. This would get a 10 every single time for me, and probably would be my favorite album ever.
Interesting.
It's really obnoxious when that happens.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, solid 9 for me because, top to bottom, I really enjoy it.
I'm giving it a 9. This is in my top 5 favorite albums of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Toe to tip.
It's very rare that an album, captivates me from beginning to end like this one does.
All right.
So,
Word.
all right, Christopher, do some math.
26 plus 32. What's gets an 8.
Gets an 8.
32 divided by 4.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It actually got, across the, music critics and everything, it did get a pretty good rating. I think, where the hell was it?
Yeah, AllMusic gave it 4 stars, 4 out of 5, which is
Yeah.
that's good for a
Yeah,
modern
AllMusic gave
rock
it 4,
release these days.
Holy Fire holds an average rating of 76 out of 100 on review aggregator Metacritic, which indicates generally favorable reviews.
Did I tell you guys that I've eaten full?
Did you now?
I did. It wasn't intentional, but I did, and Todd Bowes did too.
What did you fucking...
No, when we were in Iceland, we had a Airbnb apartment, and we got what we thought was hamburger.
Oh, but it was horse veal.
So then a second later, we get it back to the apartment and we're cooking it, and our friend Grant's using Google Translate, and he's like, guys, this is baby horse," and it was awesome.
I'm just
I
picturing.
bet.
I'm just picturing a hamburger bun, and in the middle there's a miniature horse just standing up.
Just an entire horse, and you Scooby-Doo sandwich it, just crush it around it and tie a string.
Yeah, like a soft shell crab sandwich. It's just the whole fucking thing between 2 slices of bread.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'm very uncomfortable with soft shell crab.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I can handle horse though.
Oh, horse is good. That's a good meat.
That's a big thing in Japan. Raw horse.
Raw horse.
Raw horse.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Can't wait
if I
to
do it
never
raw,
have that in my life. Thank you guys
It's
so
very
much.
bloody and chewy.
Horse tenderloin is really good, and horse is legal in the States. It's just there aren't a lot of
People who wanna eat
slaughterhouses.
horse.
Yeah, exactly. But if you ever get the chance, eat some horse. Do yourself a favor.
I think it's time.
We were talking about Sigur Rós earlier, and you went to Iceland to see them. How was that?
It was fucking great. It was great. Got to see them. They were really good. Only played one song off of Med Sooth, which was disappointing
That
for
is
me. I
disappointing,
wanted
yeah.
to see more than that. They played a bunch of new stuff, played a bunch of old stuff. They're doing really well without a keyboard player. They sound awesome.
Cool.
And
yeah, we're thinking of doing TAC next week, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Talk.
cool.
Talk.
Sorry.
Talk.
Taco.
Yeah.
I think that's the only album I'm really familiar with.
Talk.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll change it. Maybe we'll do parentheses instead.
No, don't.
By the way, those tacos I got the other night were half and half.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yes, they Mexa kinda.
Yeah. Their fish tacos weren't great, but I won't name the name of the business. I don't want to.
Have you found any good spots in the middle of the borough?
There've been a few. I mean,
Or are
Fireflies
you in
is
Marlboro?
Marlboro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Middleborough is down
Marlboro,
the South
man.
Shore. No, there's a place that does Italian, and they do fancy grilled cheese, and this one is a meatball sub grilled cheese. Oh jeez. What the fuck are they called? Plum tomato or some shit. Someplace in the middle of Marlboro, but they're.
Hi,
they're
I'd like
good.
I'd like an ambulance, please.
Would you like a side of ambulance with that?
Also from The Simpsons, Homer just picks up the phone. Hello, hospital?
Yeah, it comes with a free life alert.
Is that the one where he eats an entire gallon of spaghetti that's been pressed down into a power bar?
My retirement grease. Oh, God. All right. Anybody have anything to plug? Patrick, are we playing this Bears for Years show or what?
Oh yeah, we are.
We
Just,
should probably practice.
We should practice. I keep yelling at Gina to get on the thread and be a front.
Because I'm
front
going
person.
away.
Yeah, we gotta nail that down because you're gonna be all over
I'm all over
all
the
over
globe.
the